Hey, this is Whatsawhizzer. I'm should be live now. Um Sorry, it's still loading up, so I'm always kind of unsure. I only do these every 6 months, and every 6 months OBS is needs to be updated, and all my stuff needs to be re-entered, and it works differently. And actually, it hasn't been too bad since last time I think I did in February, so it's only been yeah, I guess we're going on 6 months now. Um. Anyway, I know there's only one viewer right now. Hey, a few more might join in as we go along, but I figure I might as well get started. Anyone is welcome to come back at any time and rewatch them. Hopefully, they are uploading properly to my account, and you should be able to see them under the streams. If not, I can look into fixing that, but I'm not that familiar with the video editing software. It's very clunky when you shoot a 3 hour live video. It takes a long time to update, and I don't know if it works very well. Anyway, here's I like to start every survey or every Q&A, just showing my site, and then we'll go through the survey. This last 6 months, I think I've made more updates the last 6 months than we've made in almost any other time, except when we've completely redone the site. There's a lot more features than we had before, and a lot of them are quite cool. Of course, I got the content goal bar right here. This is a conglomerate of all the memberships. It is not necessarily an accurate measure of how much I bring home or anything like that. It's just how much each membership costs that are currently active. I mean, there are some memberships that are active that are free. For example, the memberships I give myself and the people who work on my site. So those are factored into that. What else is factored into it? Any taxes I have to pay, PayPal takes their cut, Patreon takes their cut. Every third processor is going to have a little bit. The government's going to take 20% of it naturally, and the state is going to take a little bit more. And so, yeah, that's not like a total measure of what I make, but it is a total measure of how much you guys are sending me, I guess, at this point. But I figured using that as a metric for when I receive my next chapter or how much I work is pretty good. I decided on 600 for a couple of reasons. So every 600 I write 1,500 words because I figure if you're gonna do 4 times a month, minus my break, that's going to end up rounding out to a pretty steady number. And yeah, that's so 6,000 words per $600. Just all is nice and clean, makes sense, and it gives me about enough chapters to sink my teeth into and still have room for sponsors. The sponsorship was the other big thing. So this is the weekly schedule now. You guys are probably aware of it. If you click, you can go straight to the most recent chapter. There's actually been a problem with this. It doesn't send you to the most recent chapter. It's for some reason it sends me to 85 and not 88. I'm not sure why it's doing that. At first I thought it was because there's 3 chapters and it might only send you. I don't know why it's doing that at the moment. We'll work on it. It's probably needs to be fixed. Anyway, this is all automatically generated. Once I start school, which is going to start back up on the 16th, the schedule should work pretty well for me. So that's why I have this schedule, is because that's what is not going to overwhelm me and going to allow me to get stuff done. As usual, I'm probably going to be a little late on something. Actually, I hope to get it so that I'm not putting things out late. What I want to do is I want to be a week ahead. It is 8/2 now, and if you notice, usually this would be the week I would have off. I'm planning on finishing the Sunday schedule, and then on Monday this is going to be a week off. So there's not going to be releases next week, and I'm going to use that time and I'm going to try to get ahead a couple chapters on these. So when we do generate the next schedule, I'll be ahead instead of behind, and then I should be able to have every release come out exactly at 9. Now, if you're in the silver or you're in the copper, the releases are now scheduled automatically, so they should be releasing perfectly on time. You shouldn't experience any issue. Gold is always a situation where it only releases as fast as I can write it, and I'm human, so I can't, you know, I'm not the fastest writer, but yeah, um, that's how this is going. Sorry, I'm a little tired today, so I just my brain's not up to full working speed at the moment. What else we got? We got the novels. When you click here now, you can see everything that's sponsored. You know, I gave you guys a sponsor book, so anyone who has a membership can have sponsor books. You know, some people are only sponsoring exactly the $1 they need to read the next. But if you want more chapters, you got to sponsor more. I'm just surprised a lot of these aren't getting sponsored heavily. I mean, with the amount of sponsor bucks I'm giving out now, if you're just throw it at the books you want to see every month, and you should be able to at least get books coming out maybe once a month, if not multiple. I mean, if everyone who gets sponsor bucks just sponsored a book, it would be coming out as quickly as any of the scheduled books. So I'm just surprised that it is not as popular. Like here, $6. I mean, Apocalypse has been sitting here at 80% for like a month and a half, and I'm just like, there's $6 different. Now, whoever voted for it, last month, you could put more money into it and then get the next story, the chapter in. That's kind of the point. Yeah, you won't immediately get something right now, but you would get something. And if you're like determined, like I'm not going to pay for something if I don't, because if you did pay the $6, you'd have to pay $1 on the next chapter. Then you can just save up till you have 30, and then go bam and just buy a full 30. But maybe that's what everyone's doing. I don't know. I just thought that, I mean, with the free member coins, or whatever you want to call them. I was thinking people would be hitting that harder, but yeah, I have not. Like last month, I think I had one sponsored chapter, and nobody else has maxed a sponsor. And like I said, with the free money, I just thought it would be shooting up. But apparently, a lot of members aren't using their member books. I guess you should. That's why I designed it for you to do that. But that's that's on you guys. That's your choice. I just want to show you it's there. You can see what works and what doesn't work. What else do I want to show you guys? We have this kind of got little redesign. So this is how you contact with us. Um, we redid the FAQ. So here's your frequently asked questions. If you have any questions you want to find out about, it looks a lot nicer than it used to. I gave it to my son. He says he doesn't like the yellow. Since we chose to use yellow on this one, he wants different color. But otherwise it looks nice, and you can even search for certain terms and see if you can find it directly. So that's nice. Anything else over here? Newsletter. I haven't got my newsletter out this month, but newsletter is going. It was sent out, here, and these are your newsletters. I'm probably going to do future newsletters. Are going to be, and give me 1 second because I'm just gonna. Oh, there. I'm signed in. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. Don't do that. There you go. Anyway, so here we go. Now you get a notification. So if you noticed, I used to have news right here. I got rid of it, and now instead news will actually go into here. So this is probably where your newsletter will pop up as well. If you feel like you have too many of these or you don't like to kick them, you can get rid of them just by hitting the X right there. Get rid of it. And I don't know why I did that. Oh, because it's closed the whole thing out. Fun. Anyway, am I still signed in? Yes, I am. Okay. So yeah, that's the new notification system. That's how I announce news now. And anything news here also gets announced immediately on your Discord. So your Discord's also getting announced with the same notification. So hopefully that works for you guys. Um, Otherwise, like I said, any other links I have should be in contacts here. And membership is membership. If you're a member, you're a member. If you're not a member, that's fine too. You can still have a little bit of say and be a bronze locked member as long as you're willing to be part of my newsletter and sign up, for my account for free. Um, that just opens up a line of communication between us so that I can send you stuff. The only other change we've been talking about making and haven't made was the potential of having either the $5 monthly, having two $5 monthlies. So increasing this one to $5 and making it go all the way up to gold. So instead of being silver, be gold, but it costs $3 more. Or making a new fresh tier at $5. Or we could make it at $4. I'm hesitant, but I suppose a $4 tier. The problem is the reason I kind of wanted to avoid that is because it really it gets messy. I mean, this $2 tier alone was a really messy tier to build. The in Patreon it might be easy to set up, but on my website to get it to set up so that you can have your just one novel that you support and nothing else is kind of a messy thing, and there's not that many people who use it. Maybe a 70 or so people of the members that actually use the $2 tier. So setting up, I mean, it'd be a lot easier just to put this to $5 and give y'all gold than it would be to try to set up a $5 tier. And then I don't know. I I asked a survey. What was the results? I put site polls here now. So this used to be where I had my premium polls, but now it's site polls. So that's my current question, which I haven't seen the results towards yet. So I'll get to that in a second. But the older poll, yeah, this was the do you wanna how do you want to change it? And I don't know. A lot of people don't like change, so their usual answer is I don't want to change it. But I don't know. Let's see. I'll have to vote if I want to see it myself. I'll go B vote here. Yeah, B is winning by one. So just my one vote. That looks like a big bar difference for one. That's silly. That is quite silly. I don't count mine, so they're apparently tied. But because I was pretty much APF SDS came back and he was making this one. He's made a lot of my previous, so he's the one who designed he didn't draw them, but he designed that one, he designed this one, he designed all the MDLs. So those are all done by him. Uh in comparison, I did that one. Oops, Women's Pleasure Dungeon, those are mine. Man of the House, he did that one. The Apocalypse, he did that one. ATR Crush, he did that one. Um, Power of Creation, I hired someone else to do, so there's a third party who's done a couple of them. But yeah, so he did that one. So he's done like a lot of my book covers. As far as the text and the coloring and what it looks like, and so I kind of gave him full reign to try to make one of his own, and that would be oh, now you're gonna be like this. Come on, thank you. Uh, but I was curious if boobs would win out over, this whatever clear cut girl. Honestly, in my vision of her, I see her more as like a secretary, because she was presented in the prologue as being, kind of just this working class white collar person. And so, that's kind of how I depict her with the glasses and stuff. But he saw her as completely different, which once again seems to have about a 50-50 result. What about this one? I'll just go. Don't add anything. Yeah, a lot of people just don't want to change. They just keep it the way it is. I'm not even sure if the people saying that or even $2 tiers would even be affected by it. I kind of feel like if you're not going to be affected by something and you don't care about the result, don't answer. I mean, for the most part, I'm not forcing you to do these, but there's people who just insist on doing an answer, even if that answer is I don't have an opinion. Oh, when we get the Q&A, we'll probably see a lot more of those. So yes, I wanted the chapters of my novels don't even cost more. It's about 7 are willing to pay more, and 6 want a new tier. And honestly, this is probably a badly worded question, because I don't know if this is 70 are saying they want things unchanged because they want to keep the $2 tier and don't, or if they're just saying that because they don't care. And that's a badly worded question on my point. So I don't know. I didn't gain the decision on this. I was hoping I would. Maybe someone else will know. I will look at questions. It just takes me a while sometimes. Everyone thought about doing a virtual novel. Coco has already mentioned that. Yeah, we sort of had a virtual novel. We were trying to make a demo. Last summer is when we stopped working on it. We got maybe 70%. A lot of it is a lot of people prefer. He was making them with 3D elements and a 3D images, and a lot of people wanted anime. And anime means I gotta use a lot of generation, which I could do, but something happened to the images, and we never got the images, so never got it. Is Women's Cultivation World a news story that isn't released yet? Yes. I have been working on it, but it is not out. I have been trying to build up a lot of chapters. Um, it's kind of an undeniable fact that the faster you release, the more popular things are. So things that haven't been releasing a lot are just less popular because they haven't been releasing, and that's kind of a shame, because it makes it very hard to tell what's popular because it's actually good, and what's popular just because it's got a lot of it. And so my dungeon life, I originally wrote it just with the idea that I could pop out a lot of chapters very rapidly without issue, and that's made it the most popular. Bacterium, I sort of had the same idea. It was the idea that I could release it fairly rapidly without being overwhelmed, and that's built into both the type of story it is and the size of the chapters. Um, but then you got a story like World of Women. And when I was releasing World of Women twice a week, 3 times a week, it was the most popular story I was working on. But when I dropped it to once a week or less, it just isn't. So any story that's going to seemingly grow popular needs at least 2, maybe 3 times a week release reliably for months on end. And and like I said, I just don't have that with most of my stories. I mean, I'm good at one a week. I'm good with 2 a week, but it needs to be within kind of this frame of reference. And the ones that are the most popular, the ones that are easiest to write, because being easier to write, I write more. Go figure. Um, One solution I've considered is just putting out an A, B, C for the chapters. So putting them out in 1,500 word segments, regardless of their size. And maybe that would be fairer for this system up here, too. Maybe instead of releasing Oops, I Banged My Bully's Mom 3,000 words, I should just release 1,500 A and then 1,500 B, and then treat it like I would treat these guys. That would mean less of that chapter. It would probably mean less of Rise of Midnight. Because probably what would end up happening is I would have 3 bacteriums, 3 dungeon rises, and then a 1500 for each of these, and maybe 1500 for something else as well. Maybe banged would be picked up. So that's a possibility. Because right now, these two take 2 slots. These guys take 2 slots. And these guys take 1 slot. And so there's a little bit of an imbalance there. But at the same time, I don't want stories not being picked just because they're longer or harder to write. You know, it just takes twice as long to write a 3,000 word as it does to write, 1,500 words. And with my dungeon life, with those 600 word segments, yeah, it ends up being about 1,500 to 1,800 words, but it's even a little bit easier because you can just bite them in 500 word segments. I can spend an entire chapter just talking about one concept and then move on to the next one, kind of thing. So it's a little easier to write MDL than it is to write reincarnated, and these other longer ones take more mental energy, take longer, and I don't know. I still haven't, like, breaking them into A's and B's might be the best way to be fair to everybody. And that would, like for the women's cultivation world, I've already written 27 chapters of it. And since people are asking about it, it must be something some people want to see. So I'm eager to get it out. It's got a name that, I mean, World of Women. One of the reasons I think World of Women did so well is it's just got a name that draws a lot of people to read it. And women's cultivation world, I kind of feel also has that, and I really like it. What I've written so far, I'm very proud of. 27 chapters, most of them 3,000 to 4,000 words. Yeah, I've written close to an extra novel on the side here that hasn't been released yet. So this, whenever I decide to toss it out and get it released, it's going to hopefully do pretty well. Especially my thought was to get to 100 chapters and then release 100, because that'll give me daily chapters for for a for 3 months. Or I could go a little bit slower, maybe 3 chapters a week, and that would last me for quite a while, a good 6 months, because that's about how long it would take for it to catch on and be popular, if it was going to catch on and be popular. And then there's always the potential it doesn't, and it's just not that popular. But I think if you can get it that far along, it's going to pick up a fan base at some point. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on. This is a site. If you don't see it this way, let Coco know that you're got issues, and he'll try to help you fix them. Patreon, is all set up to automatically work. This is all automated. He put a lot of work into this stuff, and he's gotten, like I said, I never imagined I'd ever get to the site to this point, but I'm just so happy that it's finally kind of here and working the way I had envisioned it 5 years ago and tried to set it up using random plugins. So here you go. So here's the survey. I do it every twice a year. Responses, I only got 81 responses. So once again, this is with a grain of salt. I don't know why I can't get more people to do it. I always kind of point out, if I go to my older ones, back in the older days, I used to be able to get, 430 responses in 2021. And you go, oh, well, that was COVID and everybody was at home. But I had surveys in 2019. Back then, I was using a different survey platform, so I don't still have them. But I was using surveys then, and I was still getting a couple hundred. It was not nobody. But first question, how new are you as a Whatsawhizzer? I just like to see how long people have been with me. There's a couple people who claim they've been with me from when I started Wattpad, which is amazing if true. Has anyone said that? No, I guess no one has. That looks a lot like that. Some of these colorings are questionable. Um, I guess red would be the soonest. Not that red, that red. There with Marifretta. People have been with me back when I had my old WordPress site. That's impressive. If anyone who doesn't know, I started out writing, translating Arifureta, which is it came out as an anime now. It's whatever the common strongest job, the one with the guy who gets trapped in that dungeon because he gets betrayed and then he falls down to a lower level and then fights his way to the end and finds a vampire princess and yada yada. They that one froze. People are translating it, and so I translated it for him. And when I was doing that, I ended up getting like a million hits a day on my WordPress site, and that was kind of the first sample that hey, I could potentially do this. Um, Unfortunately, picking that to translate at that time was kind of like lightning in a bottle, and I just don't think I could replicate that again. If I could bring a million people to my site right now, I mean, it would have been crazy. But yeah, it's not doesn't seem possible. Anyway, where did we find out about my content? That's just what is still the best. Still, machine sliced bread seems to bring the most people, or at least um, since people have been here from the beginning, it brings the most reliable people. Scribble Hub's the extra, Royal Rose of the. I mean, it kind of makes sense because these are just the order in which I kind of released. I released heavily on Machine Sliced Bread and built most of my group there, and Scribble Hub was the second biggest, and then Royal Road. And it's cool to find people are getting me through Google search too, because I don't really factor that in bringing people to my site. This is just content um, Coco likes to have, just some information that helps him decide what he focuses on. And like I said, once again, nothing's ever really informative with these surveys. They're usually all over the place. Like it would be so like if this was just 70% phone and 20% PC, we might say, okay, we're going to optimize on the phone. But it's never that simple. Not on any of these surveys we've ever done. If you guys just pick one book, like everyone's always like, why don't you just focus on this one story I like? And I'm like, because nobody ever votes on that one story. Like even right now, you guys, if you went to the site and y'all put all your votes into bacterium, this would be bacterium, 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 bacterium. I would write 10 bacteriums a week if y'all voted for bacterium. Um, but that's not how you guys vote. And that's not what you guys asked for. Same with the sponsors. If y'all just dumped your sponsors into one book you guys wanted, I could easily be pumping out, probably multiple a week if that's what you wanted. I only have to do one a week, but that's kind of my own limit, so I don't go crazy. But I could probably punch out if it was very popular. I would probably pop them out a little faster than that. So yeah, now that's your choice. Then you tell me why you guys aren't why I'm not writing that other stuff because you guys are good. That's what I like about that. I no longer have to justify it. It's your guys that are doing it. You create your own reality. All right. Do you actively follow the release schedule? This I always feel bad about because I usually can't get it out. I've been pretty good this summer about getting it out the same day or at least by the morning. But yeah, I don't usually have it ready to go at 9 p.m. Silver, I definitely, and Copper have all been clockwork. And I think I've only missed one chapter this entire summer, which someone immediately reminded me about. But I'm not going to go back and fix it because I don't even know for sure if I was supposed to have written it, and B, I don't want to get obsessed with trying to make up chapters. I will, by the way. I yesterday's chapter I was actually working on right before I started this. I didn't get bacterium out, but I'll get it out very soon. Also, my Sunday chapters might be one of my Sunday chapters might not come out till Monday. But Monday through the next Sunday I will have off, and in which case my plan is to get ahead and not have this be an issue anymore. I don't know how long that'll last when school starts, but at least it'll be a good starter for you guys. Like I said, most of my focus this summer has been on writing a women's cultivation novel. I wrote a complete extra novel on the side here, and I really want to share it, but I'm also wanting to get farther because I want it to actually have an impact. And if I just start slowly releasing it, I worry it's just going to end up like Last Dread Pirate or any of those other ones that hasn't really been all that popular. Um, Mostly because they're not being released faster. But that's the thing. You got to release them faster, but you got to release them faster when they're not popular until they become popular. MDL, by the way, My Dungeon Life was rejected when I first, like on my site, there were people saying, I don't want you to work on this. You're wasting your time. I don't like the story. That was the opinion of My Dungeon Life when I started it. Bacterium, like there were some people, and they still do, strongly hate it because of that beginning, that 50 chapter beginning. There are people who genuinely hate Bacterium. And I knew when I started Bacterium, I was like, this is going to be a very slow start. Like I knew that when I wrote it that it would that's one of the reasons I actually had been sitting on it for several years before I finally uh, justified a reason to write it, because I knew it would be one of those stories that would have a very slow start, that would take a long time before people were into it. And so like a lot of these stories, it does take 50 to 100 chapters before people are on to them, and a lot of my stories haven't reached that. So you have stories like uh the newer ones, Hellbound, for example, where it's just I haven't gone into it yet, and it's not that far into the story. Modern Warfare, there's another one. It's like it's barely even started. I mean, the only reason they even have a cover at all is mostly because I kind of my own, whatever you call it, neurosis. My own OCD. I just like having some kind of cover there. But this is definitely a filler cover. I'm not that I would change it in a heartbeat. It's not. But it's only 4 chapters in, and if people sponsored it, it could get to 20 chapters. But I'm telling you, unless I sat there and wrote 100 chapters of Modern Warfare and just forced them out weekly to you guys, and by the time I got to 50, I'm sure a lot of people would love it, but that's what it would take. Ghost Inside is another one that I'm a little sad about, because we did get so far. I got up to 16, but even 16 wasn't enough apparently for people to like it. It's actually not a very long story. There's probably only about another 4 or 5 chapters left. If somebody wanted to sponsor it, I could finish the book. Um, because there's not a lot to this book. It's more of a short story. Like I don't have a long term plan for it. It's more like some of my other short novels I've written. What else we got? Enslaved used to be like the most popular story on my site, and I finally started the next volume, and all I got is $6. So that's like one donation there, 2 donations. So I don't know when that one's going to get going. Down in Ohio is another one that didn't quite get enough. That, like I said, all these stories, I'm happy to write them if people want to sponsor. That's what the sponsoring's for. It's not just to read the next chapter ahead. It's to sponsor enough that you're getting the next chapter written. And I was really expecting, to get 3 or 4 of these a month, and instead what I'm seeing is they haven't really moved much. Only Automatic. Someone really likes Automatic Girlfriend, and they keep paying to have it released. And I'm happy for, like, that's kind of the point. So I like that it's popular, but it's the only story that's really getting sponsored here. Um, and it becomes this kind of self-fulfilling thing, because the more I don't release these reliably, the less people are interested in them, the less they'll sponsor them, and then so honestly, I'm wondering now if the sponsoring is just self defeating. If I'm just kind of ruining like is Oops my, because this one's only got another 10, 20 chapters easy too. I mean, this is not a long progressive story. This is supposed to end in 100 or so chapters. So if people, but is it even going to reach that end? Because it seems like the amount of sponsors is just really lowered. I don't know. Maybe I need to do like an extra one a week of just one random story, just so people can get exposed to them. Friend Zone, that's another one that's just not getting. Like, I understand why NTR Isekai is not getting anything. That I understand, but some of these other ones I just don't get why they're not getting sponsored. Like I said, I'm not even saying spend money. I'm saying, we're giving people free bucks, free credits here, and you should. Yeah, that's my benefit. I get lots of credits, but you probably don't have that many credits. But even so, there's plenty of $15 tier. That's 15 credits. That's enough to force a chapter out every 4 months. If you got 4 people who like the book and are willing to spend their 15 credits on that, then you got a monthly release of something. I mean, that's all it needs is 4 dedicated fans at the $15 tier, and it would be out monthly. I don't know. And then if you had more, it'd be out faster than that. If you're willing to spend your own money, then it'd be out even more. In fact, just one $100 fan could pump out a book every month. Not that I expect anyone to spend that much. Just saying that I'm I'm wondering about my sponsor. I really like the sponsor system. I thought it was a very good idea, but seeing that it's kind of resulting in people having less interest in older novels instead of more interest, uh, makes me a little sad. It makes me wonder what I should do about it. Because even when I do write more, like I write ahead, like oops is Bully's mom right here. I am 2 chapters ahead, not one. So, as soon as this was sponsored, you could immediately sponsor the next one. And so even if I wrote a chapter ahead and I kept them sponsored and I just had like a list of 50 sponsored, it still wouldn't seem to change, people's behavior. I don't know. Like I said, I give points out. I think we give like 6,000 points a month. So there's a lot of points in people's accounts. They're just either not on my site or not using the points or what. I don't know. Maybe it'll change over time as they become more familiar. It's a new ability. It's a new thing they're not familiar with. I just talking out loud. All right. Anyway, how is the Patreon synchronization working? This is a little. I wasn't too happy to hear that everybody started out with trouble. I thought it would work fine, but now they say that it works fine now that it's working, and that's good. The only person I have one person saying it still has to continue to have issues, but you didn't give me your email address or any more contact below, so I don't know how I'm supposed to help you. I can't help you if you don't tell me anything. Like like so you're supposed to, if you picked I'm still continuing to have issues with it, you should have written your information so we can contact you right here, and no one did that. So yeah, I don't know, but it's good to see at least now that after we got all the bugs sorted out, that most of you, over 90% of you, are our Patreon is working right. Unfortunately, the subscribe star button, um I don't know. I did get one response that says it's great and there's no problem. So good, because I only have like 8 people still using Subscribe Star, and it has disappeared. Like, I get so little money off of it. I can only cash it out like once every 3 months. It is pretty much a dead medium right now. So we're probably not going to be supporting. If that button breaks and something goes wrong with Subscribe Star, I'm probably just going to cancel the whole account and just not use it anymore, because no one's there, no one's using it. I guess my site is comfortable enough for most people. I mean, I fear there's some people who can't use Patreon, for one reason or another, and aren't comfortable, using my site directly, and that's kind of what this is for. I know some people will come to my site and they don't speak English, and they're kind of a third party, and it might look like a scam to them. Although my site looks pretty tight now, I don't think my site looks like a scammy site at this point. It might have at one point looked scammy, but I think it looks pretty whatever advanced at this point. How familiar are you with Whatsawhizzer? Yeah, this is how many. This question is just to sort people. If you have a lot of people will take these surveys. I've never read a single one of my books, and I just want to make sure they get kicked and out and aren't giving their opinion on things they know nothing about. So that's all that is a sorting question. Why are you not a paying member? That's a loaded question. I think most people, it's just they don't have the money. If you didn't find anything you felt was worth the money, that's fair. I'm not saying my books need to be financed. There's a lot of ways to support me without supporting me with money. Comments, just liking novels. I know one guy went out and would go to forums and mention my name, but he got yelled at for doing that. I didn't ask him to do that. He just did it on his own. But you might not want to do that because you can get yelled at. There are people who do not like promoters, even if they're not paid and they're doing it of their own volition. They get angry about that. So I mean, but if you mentioned me to your friends, just say, hey, this guy's a good writer. That's word of mouth is a powerful ally, I guess. Just I know with the content that I write, you don't want to be telling certain people. I don't tell most of the people in my life about my writing. Um, the few people who know I'm writing, whenever anyone asks, what do you write? I'm just like, I just write stuff. I'm like, I don't tell them. I once was with my son, and we were at a school meeting, and I mentioned I'm a writer, and this woman wanted to know what my pen pal was. I wouldn't tell her. And she just got so angry. I was like, how did they even know about your work then? She stormed out. She got angry at me because I wouldn't tell her. And I'm like, why do you think people have a pen pal? Like a pen name. The whole point of a pen name is that people don't know who you are. That's the point. I mean, I understand when you get famous enough, it doesn't matter because you're making so much money that people find out your name anyway. But most people pick a pen name because they don't want their normal name on the work. I'm not that different. I'm content with getting what I get for free. That's fair. But like I said, I tighten that up a bit. I know a couple people did not like me tightening up a bit, but I felt I had to tighten it up a bit. For a couple of reasons, but I don't know. I've liked the decision we made so far. Things have been working well on the site. So why not care to elaborate? I don't speak that, so I can't read it, but maybe Coco can. I found the novel by accident. Quite a lot of shows are posted on free resources. The frequency of chapters is not constant. That was one of the reasons I wanted to close everything down and putting everything on my site so that I can manage everything to be constantly released in order. So that's one of the reasons I shut down other sites, and among others. I don't like to read. Yeah, I agree. As much as I'm oh, we should donate or whatever. I'm not a guy who would do it myself either. I wouldn't. So I know I'm a little bit hypocritical there. I mean, I do once in a while support things I like, media and stuff. Kickstarter. Like there's the guy right now who does a really funny YouTube video. It's uh this house is haunted, but the rent is cheap. And he's doing a Kickstarter now to put out episodes. I've thought about donating to him because I really like his content. If that Yandere simulator guy ever had got his crap together and actually was producing it, I would have supported him. Um, I'm happy to buy. I bought books from Daniel Black. I think he was a pretty good author that on Amazon as a self-published author. No, Daniel Black, I don't think is his name. I think that's the name of the character. I can't remember. It's been a while. I would have to look him up. It's actually a pretty good book if you want. I have not read the newer ones, but Amazon.com. Uh, you see Incubus Waves. That's the machine sliced bread. Panma Naindo. I'm pronouncing it horribly, but it was the one I originally edited back in the day. I started releasing a few on machine sliced bread, but I was really just releasing what AI Google can handle now, and then doing a slight editing to fix some mistakes. Uh, and I didn't really notice. It was another attempt to try to get machine sliced bread, since most of my people come from machine sliced bread. Uh, I was trying to use this machine sliced bread and try to get it to have a little bit more. What happened to machine sliced? Oh, because I didn't write bread. That's there you go. But yeah. So I started updating Enma for a while, because I have my stories on here, and but it's I don't know. I I have not had a lot of luck, you know, having a lot of popularity. Did he completely get rid of it? Oh no, it's right here. The recent post. He made the recent post really small, so if you're not constantly posting on here, it falls off the list. But that kind of was how I was trying to keep myself known for a while. But I don't know. I stopped doing that. All of the non-translations, all the originals started with me. Anyone who doesn't know, I was the first one to ask to redo mine, and then he created an entire original set, and a bunch of other people came and started putting their stories up. And yeah, I actually started a machine size spread. Originally, I didn't want erotica on my main site. I wanted to keep them separate, so I thought I'd put all my erotica on his site, and then I put my normal stories on my site. And eventually, it just got to the point where I pulled everything onto my site, and yeah, pretty much World of Women, took off, and it was caused my Patreon to jump up a ton, and yeah, that's why I decided to go there. But anyway, what was I looking for? Daniel Black. Daniel Black books. Here we go. Yeah, I think Daniel Black is not the name. He's E. William Brown. But yeah, I like him as an author. He does he's not they're not erotica, but there's definitely an element of Eki in there quite a bit, where he'll all the women are these um busty whatever women, and it does have I'll give a warning. In the second book there is a slightly NTR scene, but it's past, and I don't think it's more done for not done for erotica. It's done for see, that's my thing with NTR. I mean, NTR can be like, a climax. It can be there to kind of increase the tension, increase the stakes, get you invested, or it can be there as erotica. And if it's not there as erotica, then I don't really consider it NTR, because NTR is the whole point is that the arousal is in the betrayal, but when it's not, it's not NTR as far as I'm concerned. But there's some people who just really hate all of it, and whatever. Anyway, that's a book series I liked. I read a couple of them there. It's a very it's a book I've wanted to sort of replicate myself, and I haven't really found a way to do it. Um, the closest I have to that book would probably be Down in Ohio, because it's a RPG fueled, apocalypse pretty much. This guy gets sent to a world um, currently being destroyed by the gods, and his rule was just to survive and save her last priestess, the goddess's last priestess. But anyway, moving on. These are just questions to try to get people from like there's like I use the surveys also as an information platform, so because a lot of people won't read web novels or pay attention to new things on the site, so sometimes this is the only exposure they get. So I ask a lot of dumb questions that are just like, did you know this thing existed? And I'm like, it's just there to let them know the thing existed. What's your favorite story from what I've written? It's going to be MDL, yep. And then the second, let me guess, is going to be Bacterium, of course. And then World of Women. Enslaved used to be up there, but it's got so few chapters, it just got forgotten. And like I said, if I just forcibly started releasing and just you could help with writing reviews for each of the novels you've read, overtly negative and being insulting and condescending, I might just remove theirs. Or if I argued back with them and we just got into this long-winded argument, I might delete it. But overall, I'm a fairly, free speech absolutist with this stuff. If you don't like my stuff and you want to express it and you're going to be polite about it, you can have your opinion and I'll leave it there. I mean, other people have a right. Certainly, I know, on my site there's some things that have less stars than others. There's certainly some novels people slam on. NTR Isekai, got slammed with stars because there's people who don't like it. That one people seem to like. Honestly, one of the ones that people seem to dislike the most is Bacterium. That's got like under 4 stars, so I can say that one getting a lot of hits. But that's probably because they read the first 40 chapters and don't like the story where it is. Hopefully, most people were. I see only 2 people under 5, but naturally, those people I don't really think are telling me why. I guess someone says the new credit system needs to be ironed out, but I don't know what that means. Like, we can't iron out an issue we don't know what it is, so you got to tell us what it is. Like, what's happening? Did you not receive credit? If you didn't receive credit, we can get you credit, but you need to contact us. As far as I know, everyone's getting credit, but if you're not, let me know. Because you should be. Gold membership option for a single book. That's the one I was talking about introducing in the poll earlier. Better reviews for chapters for spelling grammar. I have a guy. He goes through and edits a little bit, but he doesn't edit everything. And I'm not sure how I want to progress with that. I could probably use AI to do more spelling and grammar checking. You kind of got to tell it exactly what to check, but I'm sure there's dialogue I can come up with that'll. The AI has gotten really good at stuff like that. It's done things I used to think only a proofreader could do. Like when I write a story and I mess up names sometimes, it's able to, hey, you use this name incorrectly and point out that, and that's something like I find, or if I accidentally use a name that belongs to another book because I'm not thinking, or second person versus, or I'm third person versus first person, or past tense versus present tense. I mean, those things I used to think like AI could not do, but it can do them now. So I don't know. I could do that more. Um, as far as just hiring, I mean, I can never have enough editors. Even when I have editors go through, I have people who aren't happy with the edits. And there's also been instances where we've had loss of content because of something that happened with the website, where something will end up getting reverted to an older unedited thing. Um, That probably happened really badly when we switched to the new site because a lot of there was some spacing errors originally, and I had her just basically paste and then the repaste. But instead, I ended up spending the time writing women's cultivation novel. What can I say? I do not like spelling grammar checking. I do like writing. Instead of content, I see demands for money. This looks like a scam. Like I said, there are people who apparently see things as a scam. Um, yeah, I try to make it clear. I it might seem, and this is one of those things you kind of realize when you're in a business. Um, and I mean no offense to anybody, but I'm just gonna say it. People are kind of dumb. I like to use the quote from Men in Black. It's like a person is smart, but people are dumb, panicky, and you know it. And that's kind of how it is. I can make this as clear as humanly possible, and there will be people that just don't understand stuff. So when you're coming here and you click on a chapter, and then you got you know something like this right here, and you're like, oh, he's just trying to sell stuff to me. I'm like, no, I'm trying to make it very clear to you what's available, because a lot of people just don't realize. Like, if I didn't tell you that I had a PayPal account where you could just leave a one-time tip, I don't think a lot of you know that. I've had people who have come up to me like, I don't want to be in a membership. I just want to gift you a one-time thing. How do I do that? And yeah, if I didn't announce there's a newsletter here, most people wouldn't know there was a newsletter unless you're trying to become a member. I'm sure half the people who joined me for bronze, or I'm sorry, half the people who joined a membership this month did so because they didn't understand that they could join bronze for free. They probably thought the only way they could be a bronze member is if they paid. Even though, if you click on membership, it says right here, access bronze chapters when you subscribe to the newsletter. It's just, there's people who just don't, either they're, not native English speakers, so, they're already a challenge of a language barrier, or they're just not paying attention. So, a lot of the reason we add so many advertisements, so to speak, is because we're just trying to make people aware. Because you would be surprised at how many people visit the site and aren't. And this was something asked of me, the sponsor buttons. Like, someone asked, said they wanted them there. They wanted to be able to compare sponsors. They wanted to see what was farthest along. And so I added that. So that was a request. So I'm like, it's just funny because when you have a business, just how many things you see end up existing because people. It's not because I want it. Like, a lot of people, like, one of the other complaints in the survey was that I gave out NTR Crush for free, and a lot of people bought it. Like, it was a popular novel. A lot of people cashed in on. In previous surveys, I actually don't think that many people cashed in on it when it was MDL Volume 1, either because they already own them or they just weren't interested. Um, so a lot of people cashed in on the NTR Crush, but then I have some people saying that they're really angry that the free book was that book. And I'm like, well, I've tried to just give you any free book. Like when I originally did this, it was just a coupon, $5. You could pick any book you wanted and you get it for free. And what happened was, the first 6 people who did the survey who got that coupon went, created about 10 accounts, and then just started strip mining, because you could only use a coupon once per. So they make an account, use the coupon. That 50, I could, like, completely change the nature. And even if I did change it, I would just change one novel. It wouldn't be like the entire thing would be completely altered. It would just be one novel's in there that normally wouldn't be in there. So it's not that big of a change, I don't think, and I'm not that worried about somebody doing that, because I could detect it and I could get rid of it, and it wouldn't be like a big thing. Versus someone strip mining all of my books, that's something I can't do anything about. Anyway, as a member, how do you feel about this voting system? Yeah, all in all, there's some people who have complaints. I would love to be able to fix. Like I mean, I'm happy to have better spelling grammar. I don't know feasibly how well I can do that with the amount I'm writing. Like I said, I can use AI a little bit, but there's just the time thing. Like I would be putting out ebooks if I could manage my time better. And like I said, my request for money is just my request for money. How many books are you a member for? I prefer people to be a member for at least a couple books. Like if you're just for one book and don't care about anything else, I think you're missing out, and I think you're not going to enjoy it. And I'm betting most of the people who complain are probably there who just want their one book. Um, and my answer to that is just wait for it to publish. You know, books take time; they get published, and when they're published, you're there. That's the thing you can buy and complain about everything that's pre-published is just, you know, in progress and subject to changes. A lot of people were mentioning this is about the new voting system I just brought here. Um, as far as letting you know the votes for each, I know it makes sense to do so, but my biggest worry is once again going back to the adage: a person is smart, but people are dumb and panicky and stupid. And if I show you what how the points are broken down, someone's immediately going to have to take issue with it. It's going to change how you vote. You know, you're not going to put them on the stories you want. You're going to put them on whatever you feel you can manipulate into what you want, you know? And I prefer a more honest take rather than some kind of, you know, best choice kind of decision. Do you know what I'm saying? And part of it is like I said, I use an algorithm that decides who's in first, who's in second, who's in third. And I think some people, if they saw how many more votes my dungeon life has than the thing in third place, they'd be like, well, why isn't it just 10 my dungeon lives? Why are you having anything bacterium getting the next chapter and you getting the next chapter? Like I could see people changing their whatever, doing stuff specifically to run, or even being tempted to make fake accounts and try to get those extra points. There's another thing. Like if you did that on Sunday night, you'd probably succeed. If you knew that there were 10 points you needed and you created 10 fake accounts and then added one person thought we should have equal voting rights, but there nobody had thought you should not have voting power or should have more voting power. So nobody was really against the voting power, at least that how they voted. That's funny. All right. Always people with no opinion. And it's going back up again. I mean, it's kind of teetering around here, but right now we would not get this extra release of bacterium next week. Well, we're not getting anything next week, but in 2 weeks you wouldn't get this extra bacterium if it doesn't get back over 5400. But that would be locked in for the entire month. So if you did get back over 5400, you still wouldn't see that I reincarnated until the end of the month. That would be the cost of uh of scheduling only once a month. This 8 people voted for was that they want the list to unlock or so once you hit over 5400, even if it fell back below, it would always be, you know, the larger schedule up until the end of the month or whatever. I'm not sure how I'm not sure how I could sustain that like properly. Like I would be like, was it over? Was it not over? I would. I'm sure there's some way he could program it to do that. Coco could, but I'm not nuts about that idea. Um, but I there's a very clear disadvantage to this. It could be an advantage, but could just as easily be a disadvantage by going monthly, which this is why I don't want to do that. I think most people are happy with the schedules. Hopefully, I mean, if you're very unhappy with it, you know, I there's not I think we're gonna stick with it. So I'm sorry. I do want to know about images in general because there's a lot of people who hate AI, and I just want to see how they feel about me using more AI. Um, Once again, there's always one or two anti people. Most anti AI people, like there's even people who are anti the anti AI people. My but the thing that makes me laugh is one of the questions I think was which novel did you guys want the images for? I'll get to that in a second. Whether I use AI images or degree of artistic license, this is kind of a big one. I want to know how accurate people would go. For example, we had just the picture of seriously, you're gonna be difficult. Anyway, I had the picture of that APFSTS, the book cover of Hellbound, and he wanted her to be a white character, even though she's red skinned, a demon. Um, and uh and so like we were just arguing about that because there's just how accurate do you want it to be. They made her hair white, which I can change in the book. I mean, the book's only 3 chapters in. I can make a small retcon that she has white hair instead of black hair, but I don't know. I uh i wonder how much, because we want some artistic, like I don't think making a character traditionally a red character into a white character is a good idea, but we thought about that, and he settled on red. But like I said, the compromise was she had to have white hair because he just felt that black hair didn't contrast well with whatever he was trying to do. I think a red faced black haired demon is actually a pretty common artistic choice, but I don't know. Uh, that's that's what you get when you work with artists. Using AI also leads to stylistic changes. I was trying to figure out what you guys preferred. I think most people are fine with anything. Like I said, if any of these stood out like crazy strong, I would go with that. I'm surprised more people like classical anime than modern anime, but like I don't like classic anime much at all, to be honest. I think it looks pretty meh. But anyway, yeah, semi-realistic is apparently not that popular. That's good to know because I use that occasionally. Um, but how much variation should I keep? I try to be consistent, but it's very difficult, especially on some of the longer running novels, and especially when I want to do a very specific type of image. AI doesn't always work with you. It's gone leaps and bounds towards me being able to replicate characters and being able to replicate you know art styles and positions, but it's still can be a pain in the butt sometimes. Um, so yeah, I'll probably try to stick to a modern anime, roughly. Um, but yeah, it doesn't seem like most people care too much. Unless if any one solution just kind of exploded and it was 70% of it, then I would definitely go in that direction. But I rarely see that in these. Some novels are supposed to get images every chapter. Yeah, you guys kind of told me you want the chapters. I mean, that's what I got out of this. Um, I mean, sure, lots of people are concerned, but there are people who really like that, and it's something I do. I don't think a lot of other writers do is make sure there's an image in every in regularly. Um, a lot of others will only put out a couple of images at the end of a volume, or so actually having images chapter to chapter, I think, kind of makes some of my novels funner, at least from a erotica point of view. So I do try to do that. Although sometimes I'm not sure what I should put. Like when nothing really happens in the chapter, it's just like what picture should I give you? But I'll try to make sure to get all the ones I missed filled out eventually. and I've been trying to make sure an extra added effort to do them recently too. It does take more time. Like it'll add an hour to whatever chapter I'm working on to get a good image. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it takes like 5 minutes. But when it struggles with you and doesn't want to give you the picture you want to see, it can be quite a pain in the butt. Usually, what'll happen is I'll end up with five different pictures, each one with like one aspect I like, but not another aspect, and just getting them all merged together is just impossible. Which novel? What do I generate images for? Which most like to see me going back and adding images? This was the one I thought was funny because Bacterium wins, but Bacterium doesn't have any, erotica really or anything like that. So it's like, what do you want in that novel? I guess just the places and the people. I mean, when I was talking about, I was talking about literally chapter to chapters. Like, I understand you'd want a gallery of all the characters, but that's a different beast entirely. That's not what I'm talking about when I'm asking this question. Automatic Girlfriend already has a gallery and it also has images. It's just there's a lot of chapters that don't really have anything interesting happening. So I don't know what you want. Like Automatic Girlfriend is the entire point of it is it's a modern like slice of life kind of comedy, and so it's not full of full of like very interesting or exciting scenes. There's no fighting. So the sex scenes to me are the only thing visually interesting we're showing, or maybe a new girl. But even that's the story isn't a story that has a lot of new girls. It's like focuses on a small group of 5 girls, um, and the main character, 4 girls, I think, 4 or 5. I think I added a fifth, but she hasn't even really been introduced yet. Um. Anyway, I don't know. So I don't know what you want for those. Those are the two stories, like I said, that I mean, Automatic Girlfriend, I technically kind of already am. I just don't know what you'd want chapter to chapter. And Bacterium might be a little more visually interesting, but like backgrounds and settings are not easy to do. Like with what the novel I use, the novel AI is AI. I can do people really easily, but I can't really do backgrounds, cities and stuff. They don't look too hot. Isekai no Monogatari. I was wondering. I'm still hiring him. I'm only doing like one a month now, so I'm going really slow with it. But I have been having him do the missing ones. I was wondering if you guys wanted me to work on the ones that are in the 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 ones to fill in, because what I would like to do is I'd like to fill in so that they're all the same artist, and then just plop out, a book, a PDF of it, and the first 100 or so I can actually kind of monetize the book. But because right now it's probably one of the most expensive things I have. $60 a a single release, and I only have like I haven't made any money. I tried sponsoring. I tried to put out a sponsor, but still no one sponsored anything on it. So no one's really supporting it. So once again, I don't know if I even should continue it because if it's not getting any support, some people just want the story to advance. Others have no interest in the comics being made. I like I said, it's mostly to tell people that they can support it, and that's what I'm waiting on. But I don't think that's resulted in anyone actually donating anything. What is your thought on commissioning art? I don't think I would ever do this. I just threw it out there and asked. I don't think I would ever charge people for AI art. Um, yeah, I just don't think that would be something I'd do. What are your thoughts on making the women? This I would really like to do, but and in which case I guess I would be charging people for AI art. But I would like to do this. It took me a month to do it last year, and I could theoretically do the next one, in the next following 2 or 3 weeks, but it would take a lot of free time. Um, this person says they prefer the AI over the hand drawn. Only a couple people want all the older comics released. I don't know. I don't want to release the older ones because I used to have people complaining about the art too. They'd see, one style of poor art on my site and be like, "Oh, you need to improve your art." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's just like the older stuff." And some people even ask me to have the older stuff. So, I don't know. That's just kind of how it works. Have you read My Dungeon Life? This was just to sort people and ask some questions about it. I did slow down my releases of My Dungeon Life just on the account of how this works. Because now it's two. It was moving up to 5 a week, and now it's two. And I'm sure that's pissed some people off who really wanted to move up to 5. Um, it could be 3 if it gets to 6,000, but I don't know. Right now, it's still competing with Bacterium over third place. What else? Yeah, This actually tells me I need to do the erotica scenes. I actually didn't think that many people would care about them. I thought it'd be more doesn't matter to me. This is one of the ones that stands out to me with 40% of people wanting the erotica scenes. I'll probably go back and make them for the volumes that I have passed. The problem is that once again, like other people said, I don't know how to quite fit some of them in there. Like where would I or how would I do it? Because there's a lot of multi-volume stories that have just kind of go from one volume to the next without really any break. So I'm gonna have to be creative about that. How do you feel about the story? Has been going on. Um, Hopefully, most people are happy with the story. Um, I didn't think it was all over the place, but it's definitely not slice of life either. But I kind of figure like, there's always going to be people. Why'd you stop? Could not stand the intervolume chapter 4. I don't know where that was. One one particular arc was dissatisfying. See, that's how it is, isn't it? You can't win with everybody. Eventually, the longer you write, there's going to be an arc somebody doesn't like, and then they're just going to lose interest. That's just kind of how it works. Have you read that? Um, I wanted to know how much because women's cultivation world's going to be a Zenzia, so I want to know how people feel about that. Well, naturally, a lot of people don't even know about it because my site typically focuses on isekai, but there's a lot of Zenzia who are isekai, although they're Chinese, not Japanese novels. And there's Korean novels too, and they're all different in tone and feel. And I do replicate them to a certain extent, but I always try to keep my own little spin on it. Very, like I said, I'm interested in what do you call it? So there's only 8 of the 28 responses didn't want more Zinzia. So definitely women's cultivation world I'd like to put out. For the most part, this is not an erotica novel. Did you want more erotica? Um, Half novels. I mean, it's possible I would do bonus novels with erotica, with the details of the erotica. But seeing, once again, that does stand out at a 46%. I know it's 40% fade to black is fine. But saying fade to black is fine isn't saying you wouldn't be happy with them if I did write those chapters. They would probably be bonus chapters. I would need to decide on. Um, I don't know why you quit waiting for more chapters. The chapters have been coming out reliably since. I don't think I've ever not had the chapters coming out. How do you feel about my writing as a whole over the last 6 months? I mean, I like to think I've been doing pretty good. Do I think I'm doing that much better? I mean, no. Most people being 5 wouldn't offend me too much. But people think my writing's improving. It's pretty good. I'm happy with that. One or two people below. I don't know. Yeah, like I said, you can't win with everybody. And this is the guy who, yeah, he recommended a individual images, sponsoring system. I'm not really sure how that would work without, showing them the finished image. Like I could sell image packs and then you'd have to buy them and unlock them. I mean, that would be one way to do things would be to charge for those. I don't know. I don't really want to, like, I'm not trying to pull money out of people or anything. I'm just trying to support myself. I lock my content enough up so that I can support myself, but I would be happy giving it all for free if I could. I really would. If there is anything extra you wanted to see done, what would it be? Nothing. Just a regular release of ebooks again. I so want that too. I can't tell you what. It's just like a mental block. I mean, I try to use other people. Like I got other people helping me, but one of them disappeared and I haven't heard from him since. Another one has been pushed back and he's supposed to get to me next week. But yeah, I'm just not having luck with ebooks. I would have to spend a lot of my own time working on them, and that own time means time I wouldn't have to work on other stuff. And at the moment, I'm more concerned about other stuff. I mean, I could just drop my standards and just put out ebooks with a lower standard. I'm sure 90% of people wouldn't care. They probably just want the ebook out. They don't really care if I how much editing I do in it. And like I said, I could probably depend on AI for a fair amount, but even that takes up quite a bit of time using AI to suss out, edits. My news story, most excited to see fleshed out. Yeah, I thought women's cultivation world getting so high of a rating was pretty interesting. I am definitely interested in putting that story out. I will when I can. What are your thoughts on erotica? Oh, yeah. Okay. I mean that stands out, sure. Keep it going. That's what I got out of it. Don't have to change nothing. What's your favorite type? Vanilla. I thought that was interesting. I thought there would be a bit more on the taboo. So maybe I should just push more vanilla. Although Mother Son seems to and Slave Play seem to be the second place. What would your ideal erotica distribution show be? Sorry, I was slapping something. Um, every few chapters. Okay, that that's actually what women's cultivation novel is kind of aiming for. These are once again just questions for people who are coming to my site. The unfamiliar. Which novel would you like to read most of the novels that are locked? Oops, I Beg Everly's Mom seems to be high up there. I like how people entered my dungeon life, even though it already is releasing for free. Like, just what do you want to release faster for free? Yeah, I'm sure you would. I have. Oh, once again, they probably don't realize bronze is free. I have stopped releasing chapters on third-party sites. How has this changed? This is I was really worried about. Was how many people is this going to cause an effect? Hopefully most people are unconcerned. I mean, some people are going to be slightly annoyed, but whatever. Which party book have you read? It's going to be My Dungeon Life. I'm surprised so many enslaved. I would expect with, well, I guess it's only two. I will likely be focused on putting more of my content behind a wall. I mean, out of 16 responses, only six were like, no, don't do that. Well, no, they said, and only six were like, no, don't do that. So I don't know. And then the threatening to stop read them, but you're not paying for me anyway. So when people go, it's greedy. I'm, yeah, whatever, dude. These are people who would happily step over your corpse to get what they wanted. Nah, I don't think it's that bad, but I understand the sentiment. I do. I'm always in need of assistance. This I'm just gonna skip ahead because I don't want to. Whatever. Any other comments for me? Ugh, annoying. There we go. There we go. that was more work than I wanted it to be. I just didn't want that. You're gonna be that difficult to me, aren't you? Okay, keep up good work. I wish you could. Yeah, a lot of the comments are usually pretty positive, which is one of the reasons I like doing this because it makes me. It's sometimes the only feedback I get after a year of writing. Um, I don't know what the amount of water implies. I'm presuming he's talking about, he says 1,000 chapters, he's talking about MDL, which is the only one that has 1,000 chapters. But the chapters are releasing three. I mean, like I said, it's there's only 500 word chapters. There's not much that can happen in a single chapter. It's why I lump them into threes. Like I said, it's the only story I got with that many chapters out. So if he's talking about MDL, there's not much I can do. Like I said, it's literally because the chapters are so short. I mean, if you got 500 words, there's just not a lot that's going to happen in a single chapter. Um, I do admit my pacing has slowed down a bit from originally to now, and that's probably affected by the fact that I'm writing a lot of 3,000 word chapters right now. So my pacing has slowed up a bit. But I don't know. I if you want them faster, then pay for them. That's that's the brutal honesty I got, or come back in a month. But I get 2 or 3 chapters out a week. Oh no, he's saying when there are 1,000 chapters out available, it's not so noticeable. So he's saying as MDL, it's not so noticeable. So what? I don't know amount water is suggesting because so to some people the erotica would be the water, the things that people don't want to read. But certainly by voting, there are people who want the erotica. So I don't. So yeah, I misunderstood what he was reading, but when I was rereading it, yeah, he's talking about other novels, not MDL. But I still feel like something happens every novel. I mean, unless there's erotica scene, that's the only time there's like not something I'm giving specifically like they're learning something, doing something, introducing something, building something. I don't think I write a lot of waste. The only one I could say that really nothing happens is Automatic Girlfriend, but it's a slice of life. The whole point is not a lot is happening. Keep writing. You're doing great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I'll definitely keep the typos I find as I read a Discord, but I really don't have to do more than that. I have a guy who will fix up, is supposed to fix up the typos, so hopefully he's doing that. More detailed answer with erotic question. I don't expect I want them every 3 chapters. Yeah, I mean, there was a good 50% of people said they wanted MDL, even if I didn't see it. Easy way to include it in the recent chapters. Give Coco a raise. He loves you. Haha. Yeah, he is getting a raise, by the way. If anyone's very worried about that, about how much I pay him, he's actually been making double over the summer when he's been doing all these features, and I plan to pay him more come fall. So he's doing okay. He actually is moving to a more expensive country and needs a lot more money. And I would love to be the one to pay him that money, but I don't know if I can afford it. If I made what I used to make back in the day, back in 2022, 2021, I probably could easily pay him that. I mean, he certainly earns it, but uh, it's tough. It's for both of us because I have to get a second job too because I don't make enough. He doesn't make quite enough to just do my thing full time. I don't make quite enough to do his full thing or this full thing all the time, and that takes us both away from the thing we want to be doing. Because I love it. I do like sitting here. I do like reading. I really like. I still, I've been doing 8 years, and I still like writing. So apparently, I'm doing something right because I enjoy it. It's just I'm waiting for it to jump back up to what I was making in 2022 because I was very comfortable back then, and nowadays I'm not that comfortable. I'm more struggling with my money. We've gotten back into some debt, and sadly, it's gonna take. I'm just waiting for that day where some celebrity tweets my existence, and it suddenly I'm good for the rest of my life. And that might never happen, but you can hope because I do feel like my biggest problem is getting my name out there, and I've felt that for 5 years now, and I still feel that today because I'm not saying I'm the greatest writer. I'm just saying that I feel my work is competent and decent enough that I can just get a decent fan base of interested people, and as long as enough people learn about it, that I could have enough to support myself. But unfortunately, Machine Sliced Bread isn't doing as well as it used to do. I can't get back on the top list on Scribble Hub. Um, web novels, so they're always difficult. I mean, my biggest thing I think would be pumping out Amazon novels. That's what would make a difference. And I don't know. I used to do it. I used to do it every 2 weeks, but so with working, I just can't. And even during the summer, I just can't. My focus always wants to be on something else. Last year it was the comic strip. During the summer, I worked on that, and we were working on getting that demo I mentioned earlier that never came out, but we worked on it earlier. And then this year it was trying to get that extra novel written, that women's cultivation novel, and I won't even get it done by the time school starts. Like I said, I'm 27 chapters in. I'm not gonna get up to 100 chapters in the next 2 weeks. I might get up to like 40 if I'm lucky, and 40 I don't feel is enough because even if I release them like 3 a week, I mean, I guess that would keep me going for a couple months. But I don't like it takes a while to build popularity. It does. You have to pretty much write pro bono for quite some time without any support. I mean, it took me. I mean, I wrote all of World of Women Volume 1 without receiving money. I wrote all of Tales of a Seductress without receiving anything. All of Hotness was written without receiving anything. Most of the time, you have to write for free until someone's interested in it, and only then can you start monetizing it. And that's with most of it. Like that's where I feel I'm kind of going wrong with the sponsors, but I don't really have a better solution. I mean, other than give it to you guys. But it's just people are only interested in what's coming out because when it's coming out, then they want the next one. They want the next one. So it's almost like I should have this. I should sponsor the scheduled chapters because they want what's coming out to come out faster. And that's yeah, I don't have a solution. If anyone else has thought of a solution, you're welcome to tell me because I've been fighting over it for years. Make volume 3 and future volumes of Enslaved available for purchase, and don't think I didn't know how the next one was dangled as an next release. It never was. That was not what happened. What happened? See, this is a complete misunderstanding of right happening. He's saying this is shady as crap. This is not what happened. What happened was I had it dangled at 5,000, and not a damn person donated a single extra dollar for it for like a year and a half. Nothing changed. So I finally removed it and put something else, and then people started paying more to get that something else. That's what happened. So, the whole point was enslaved never got people to donate more. They didn't reach 5,000 because it was enslaved in there. As he pointed out, I removed enslaved. It reached 5,000 because of something else. And that something else happened to be this next release system, which once again, enslaved would be here if you guys voted for enslaved. You chose not to vote for enslaved. And so this could be enslaved, 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 enslaved. It could be enslaved every day of the week if y'all voted for enslaved. No one voted for enslaved. Shady my butt. You're shady. I'm the Slim Shady. No, no, no. Let's take that back. I didn't say nothing. Don't stop trying to improve your craft. Yeah, I'm always trying. Although obviously by the website, I'm trying to do better. I am. And like my new books, like I said, I'm trying to do interesting things. I've left as far as you go. I don't know. I can't say I'm the greatest at handling disparaging comments because I usually like to argue back. I hope I haven't been too bad about arguing back recently. But then again, I don't think I've been getting as many comments lately as I used to. I used to get a lot of comments, but ever since we switched to the new site, like the last 4 years, I have not gotten a lot of comments. Has it been 4 years? Three? I don't know. It's been a couple of years. I just have not received a lot of comments recently. What else? The erotica preference section should definitely include a checkbox and not a single choice. When I do a checkbox, everyone selects everything, and then I don't learn anything. That's why I kind of focus on what you most want to do. Because if I give people a infinite checks boxes, it just because everything is high and there's nothing that really stands out for me. And I'm trying to, get information out of it. But I understand you, and I've done checkboxes in the past. It just usually doesn't help me. My health has been good. I've been doing pretty good lately. I've had an allergy, a severe allergy issue we've been trying to study. I just went through an allergy study and I found out I'm allergic to a linalool, but it's a contact allergy to some kind of scent and some kind of textile dye, and we're trying to figure out what was causing it. At the moment, I'm thinking it might have been bed sheets. I would buy my bed sheets and I'd throw them on my bed, and I didn't wash them. We think the chemicals on the bed sheets was what was causing my allergic reactions because they seemed to time up with whenever I swapped out bed sheets for new ones. Because I keep getting bed sheets that break, and I don't know. We'll find out. I switched. It's only been a day or two. I still got the rash, but it takes a week or so to clean to go away. So we'll find out. But it's a linalool that I'm allergic to, and then something called textile dye too, which I'm a little less allergic to. But that's been my biggest problem the last few 6 months, as I've had these severe allergies that have been itchy. Anyway, to my two concurrent viewers, if you got any questions, you can ask them. That's the end of my thing. I said gave away NTR Crush. I think next year, or not next year, next 6 months in December when I redo this or do the next survey, Coco might set it up so you can get $6 instead, or at least the price of a book, and it'll probably have to be attached to your account in some way so that somebody can't just do the cheat. But yeah, that's all I got to say. Like I said, I always try to be as extremely open as possible. Hope that turns some people off, but I'm just trying to be transparent and that's why I made the decisions I make, and hopefully you learn something. Thank you. I haven't heard. There haven't been very many comments. What's the favorite story to write right now? I mean, I'm the women's cultivation. That'd be probably the one. I mean, obviously, I put out 27 chapters, so it's pretty fun right now. Um, Otherwise, probably women's pleasure dungeon. I've been having a lot of fun with that one. Um, I do like writing. I know that's more than one, but I do like writing the Ghost Inside. I have a lot of fun with that. And I know this is going to sound bad, but I actually do really like the NTR Isekai. Not, I don't like NTR, and I don't necessarily, but I enjoy writing. Well, I know it sounds so bad because I'm always like, I'm not an NTR author. I'm not an NTR author. I enjoy writing the messed up scenes because they're very, it's, I don't know, mentally satisfying to write some messed up crap once in a while, and that's why I have fun with that. Like the stuff I usually have the least fun with is the most um disinteresting, like the most plainest, the most basic. And so I always had a lot of trouble with honestly the stories that have the widest appeal because, like Automatic Girlfriend. I mean, I'm not saying I dislike Automatic Girlfriend, but I struggle with it sometimes. And the other one I struggle with is Getting Lucky, because there's just it's just the whole slice of life, just normal stuff happening, just um doesn't appeal to me as much. Like I like some drama in my writing. It's more interesting to me than the guy who just gets everything he wants without struggle. I like writing the struggle. I'm not saying I like reading the struggle. There's a difference there. Like generally I like happy endings, and I rarely would write something with a messed up ending. But um but yeah, I like writing the drama. It's more mentally satisfying to write drama. Um, you are a big judge. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I listen again. Like I said, I'm not saying I like reading that stuff, and I'm not even saying I would normally write it. I just I just say it's fun to write and screwed up stuff sometimes. Tales of a Seductress, there's the same example. It's like when I got with that first volume was really fun to write when you can get some really dark stuff in there. It's just it's it's kind of the opposite when you're the writer versus the reader. It's like the writer, the messed up stuff is funner to write, and when you're the reader, I usually hate the messed up stuff. Uh, yeah, I slice of life. I don't know. I kind of wrote Getting Lucky to not really to just keep going and not really have an ending. I figured I'm probably would be bringing it towards an end. I might have a couple more arcs if I was writing it regularly. Ghost Inside should only last another 5 or so chapters. Um, Oops, I Banged My Mom's about 20 chapters. Maybe I might get to 120. Enslaved. This is the second to last volume of Enslaved, so about 80 more chapters. Um, but it just depends on the story, what I have planned in my mind. Yeah, I've been told I'm pretty good at the power scaling. Whenever the power scaling gets too big, I mean, I think I did pretty good with my dungeon life, not letting him grow too powerful too quick. Um, Bacterium, the entire point is he's broken from the beginning, but you're gonna find the arc right now, the one I'm just finishing up now. And maybe it's a little bit of spoiler, so maybe close your ears if you don't want to hear this. Um, the entire point of the current arc is kind of to justify the rest of the story. The entire point of it is that he doesn't want to be um the reason it's showing the consequences of trying to be a powerful badass. So he's gone to this new domain. He's just kind of killing everyone and just putting his foot down, just saying I'm in charge kind of thing. And the whole point of it is it's backfiring on him, and and so he will realize that this isn't what he can do, and so he'll go back to the old domain more, not allowing himself to become. So anyone who goes up to me, and because this has happened in the past, where I'll write a story like this and someone will come up to me and be like, why does he just kill? He's powerful enough, he should just kill everybody, he should just do this and do that and do this. And I'm like, well, all of that has consequences, and and like, if I was uber power, I wouldn't do that, because then it would have backfire horribly. But I get I'm the writer, so I can decide whether it backfires horribly or not. But when it doesn't backfire horribly, it kind of just feels boring to me when he just goes about doing whatever he wants. So, this entire arc I've been writing, with him just doing whatever he wants, is just kind of a preemptive response to that. And I'll just leave it with that. Yeah, I typically like nice resolution. Even for as much crap as NTR Crush gets, um, my book was a nice resolution. It was NTR Crush the way it ended. Like, it ended matching the book title, because a lot of people got angry with the it's NTR Crush. I will get every girl, or something like that, and it literally follows the name of the story. He gets every girl, but some people just couldn't get past volume 5, because that was the low point of the story, and the whole point was that was the low point of the story. And when it's a low point of a story called NTR Crush, you're gonna, get NPR crushed. But yeah, Bacterium. If you want to read a good story, the Bacterium. The story I kind of based the world on. Naturally, it's a very different story than what I'm writing, but every story I'm writing, there's kind of other stories I take inspiration from. I'm not going to be one of those people like, oh, I created all this. I'm like, no, I take inspiration from others. Everyone knows my dungeon life was my response to the what was that story called? The uh slave harem in a dungeon. I read that story. I hated it so much that I wrote my dungeon life in response. Um, it's not easy making money in the apocalypse was a response to Mansion in Apocalypse. I mean, I just read a story and didn't like how they did it. In that case, Bacterium would be my version of a story called Keyboard Warrior. So if you like my novel, you might like Keyboard Warrior. It is pure Zenzia, so it doesn't have the evolution stuff. It's resolved around this guy, but it has a very similar, where it's about the houses, and the houses kind of facing each other, and there's a lord, and he's in charge and controls everything, because he's the highest, the most powerful. And yeah, and then there's the other areas with different species. So yeah, it builds up a very similar world. But Keyboard Immortal is definitely what I took inspiration from. Where he's a playboy who's pretty much getting into the pants of all the girls, and 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 that's what Spirit's going to eventually. I mean, Spirit was a playboy from the beginning. He kind of changed his behavior for a bit, but yeah, that'll be that'll be how I do it. Uh, yeah, I like Zenzia too. I right now what I'm reading. I was reading. God, what was it called? I would have to look it up. It's It's one of the ones I had. Dragon Marked War God. I don't really like Dragon Marked War God. I mean, I actually stopped reading it. I was reading a story before that called Nine Star Hedgeman Body Arts, and I got to the end, and then I stopped reading it, and it's enough time passed that I feel like I need to reread it. So I'm rereading that right now. Um, I reread Against the Gods, but I got caught up again. Against the Gods is a very slow release speed. He'll put out batches of like 20 or 30, and then he'll disappear for half a year, and that's how he's been handling Against the Gods lately. But I still think it's one of the better ones. And then Nine Star Hedgeman Body Arts is a real fun one. It's one of my favorite Zenzias, but not finished yet. My favorite one that is finished would be Eternal Will. I tend to like the ones that are a bit comedy. And harem. I like a little bit of harem. Eternal Will doesn't have a lot of harem, but it's definitely rich with comedy. And I'm sometimes one of the scariest part. It's got some of the scariest horror in Zenzia I've ever read too. I think there's a thing to that when you have science fiction, there always should be a bit of horror. Because if you think of all like the best Doctor Who episodes, they're all like horror based episodes, Blink and stuff. And I think that holds true with Zenzia too. Like some of the best Zenzia has some horror in it. And you wouldn't think, well, how these super powerful things would have horror. Well, they manage like this. Like sometimes they have those ghost ships that are creepy as hell, and then they'll have like just these crazy ass monsters that, yeah, there's a few good ones out there. Coiling Dragon. I've read part of Coiling Dragon. I don't think I ever got into it. I remember Stellar Transformations too. Like I've heard of them. I've definitely started them, but I cannot for the life of me remember the plot. I like they just do not like stick in my memory. I mean, there's a couple I remember. The Six Heavenly Jewels one, is kind of stays in my memory. Definitely Eternal Will because that one's awesome. Um, but and Nine Star Hedgeman Body Arts. There was I did read I can't remember, there are like two of them. There's Martial World, and then there's another Marsh, and I read the sequel, and I never read the prequel. Like I couldn't get into the prequel, which was actually written first, so really it was just the quill. But I liked the sequel to it, which was not an isekai. Funnily enough, the first one was, had him traveling to another world being a human, and the second one did not. And I actually like the second one better. And I forget what it was called, like Martial World. Like there were two of them, and they were very similar. Like one was like Profound Martial World, and the other was just Martial. I don't know. True Martial World. That's right. Yeah, I like True Martial World. I did not like Martial World. I don't know why. It just didn't appeal to me. I usually don't like the ones where they're already a badass, like when they come out as a high powered um like there's one where he was already like he was reincarnated, but he was like a super powered guy from his previous incarnation, and he just can easily kill everything. I don't really like those. Yeah, I know. That's why I said it was a prequel, because I think the guy in Martial World actually meets the guy from True Martial World at some point in his journey. I mean, I heard something like that. But yeah, I'm not really interested in reading Martial. Well, I mean, I tried. I tried several times. It just never caught my interest for long. When I say try, I'll read 500 to 1,000 chapters and then lose interest. I don't know. Like I said, I was up to with Dragon Marked War God, I was up to 1,086 chapters. I actually lost interest when he left the immortal, like when he left the mortal world, because the entire plot of the story was centered around him um pretty much cutting open a door to the immortal world and dying in the process. So he was reborn, and he goes and he grazed up. So he succeeded what he came to do. His aim was to get back to the peak of that world and then adventure the immortal world. So now he's in the immortal world, and I'm just like, okay, the story's over. There's no point in reading more. I mean, obviously he goes and does more stuff, but I'm just like, but your plot's over. And they gave you nothing of interest to really like want to see him in the immortal world, because there's no lingering plot left behind. The only lingering thing left behind is that he encountered a guy from the immortal world who sent like a piece of his soul down there, and that guy doesn't like him. But like that's like the only tension in the novel right now, and I'm just like, there's no girl he's trying to find, no ability he's trying to create, no, just is nothing really interesting. Well, I guess there is a girl that he left behind, but I'm just not that like interested in it. Yeah, the three chaos treasures. Yeah, I remember that one. That's the Martial world, but like I said, I like I like the true Martial world. The other one was just kind of, I don't know. I couldn't. Yeah, Dragon Marked World War God is definitely one of those that suffers from the character being too strong but not being that interesting. Plus, he has a talking dog companion who they do like weird, you know, fart poop joke scenes that are not very appealing to listen to. I don't find it very funny, and it's just kind of gross sometimes what they have the dog do. Like he'll launch turds at you as a weapon, and I'm just like, I don't want to read this. I don't want. No, stop. Just stop. Yeah, I mean, if they have like at some point they should like with against the gods, like his goal going to the immortal. He didn't even want to go to the immortal world. Like his entire goal going to the immortal world was to find that girl. And so, everything kind of, like there was always a clear goalpost he had, where it wasn't just like, I want to become strong and see stuff. It's just like you got to have a goalpost. But what was another good one that was? I don't know. I've read a lot of Zenzias, but there's only a few I've completed, either because they're the only ones that were actually done, or because they were just the only ones that appealed me enough to finish. Anyway, I mean, I could probably finish things here. We're at about 2.5 hours, maybe. You guys got any other questions? Anything else you want to know about the site, the books, plans? I don't know what I'm going to do with Women's Pleasure. Not Women's. Women's Cultivation World. I don't know when I'm going to release it. Like I said, I got 27 chapters. I can probably get to 35 before school starts. If I really want to. I could split it in half, and then that would be 70 chapters. But I just don't know. I don't like the idea of splitting chapters in half. That's not my go-to. Um, we'll see. I'll it'll come out eventually, and I don't know if I'm gonna put it on my site right away. I kind of I want to use it to lure people to my site. So my thought is almost put it out, on something like Web Novel, release it daily, get it so that it hits their top list, so that I'm actually getting people seeing it, and then continue on my site where I don't continue on over there, because that's the only way you can really bring people over to your site. Because if they're getting it enough uh, on Web Novel, they're not going to be interested. I would hope. I would almost need to, like I said, I'd need to release it like 3 times a week to really get it to become popular. And that's only enough for 9 weeks right now. And I'm thinking it'd take probably about 3 months just to give it enough time to become popular. So you need a good, I guess, what's 3 times 20 gets you 60, and then would it really be that many? I guess that's if I'm doing 5 a week. If I'm doing 3 a week, it would be 3 times 12. 12 times 3 would. Huh. I'm doing my math is mathing wrong. So if it's 3 a week and there are 4 weeks a month, and then I want to do it for 3 months, so I only need 36 to do it that way. My thought would be release only one a week. But if I'm only releasing one a week, then it won't pick up on web novel. I need to release at least 3 a week on web novel, but I need to release faster on my own site so that people were motivated to want to come to my website. So I'd almost need to release it 3 a week on web novel, but like 5 a week on my site. But if I'm releasing it 5 a week on my site, that's 60 chapters I'd need, right? So because I had 3 a day times 5 times 4, 60 would be 1 month. So I need 180 chapters. Why does it feel like that's wrong? I feel like I'm doing something wrong here. What am I mathing wrong? If I'm doing 5 a week times 4, then no, it's only 20. Now I'm just messing up. 5 times 4 is just 20, so I'm only need 60. Okay, that makes more sense. I don't know where my math was going with that. Yeah, 60. So I need 60 chapters done, and then I would release 5 a day on my 5 a week on my site, and 3 a week on web novel. And the hope was that that would bring people to my site and make them members. But then again, then that would only last 3 months, and then after 3 months, well, hopefully in those intervening 3 months, I've written a few more. But if school's back in session, I don't know how many more I would read or would be able to write in that amount of time. Okay, that's an idea, but I don't think I can get to 60 before then. That's way too much. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about having. It's not just that I want stuff to be further along on my site than web novel, but also that that's releasing faster because that gives people that feeling like the membership. Because otherwise, they'll just get a membership once, read everything up to the date, and then they'll quit. So you kind of have to give them a continuous benefit to feel like they're continuously gaining something. That's why with my dungeon life and I reincarnated, or the bacterium one, um, the way they're set up, you can get 1 bronze released a week, 2 silver released a week, and then 3 gold. So if you're gold, you're getting 3. If you're silver, you're only getting 2, and if you're bronze, you're only getting 1. But that really only works um if you have one if you have 3 a week. You have to release at least 3 a week for that to work. Um and then, like I said, on top of that, I would have to have that's just for my site to motivate people on my site to become members or become higher members. I would have to do something similar with Web Novel or Scribble Hub or wherever I'm trying to advertise for. And anytime I do that, you're going to have people who aren't going to like it. They're going to be people who complain about it. Welcome back. We're actually right at the end here. They're just asking up any last questions about Coco just came in. So I'm just letting them know that we're pretty much done. Went through the survey, ask any other questions, talking about my future plans, about women's cultivation world. It is fun. It's a very interesting novel. It definitely has a feel. I feel like World of Women, the first volume. Not in the sense that's an isolating feel, but in the sense that it's about this guy who's completely naive, but kind of using his hidden talent in order to kind of get into these women. I did figure out a way. I'll have to tell you later. Um, did you ever show the game in working footage? No, I'm not even sure. I know where they have the footage. Um, I'm not sure where I even have the game right though. I don't think I'd have to look over my desktop. Like I don't know where I have it. I mean, there's Renpie, but that's just Renpie. Card game. I do not know where I put the game. It's not over here. Would it be in MDL? I don't think I would have put it in My Dungeon Life. No, it wouldn't be in My Dungeon Life because it's not called My Dungeon Life. Oh, you're talking about the MDL footage. Okay. No, I don't even think I have that. Like I didn't save it. I just watched it from whatever you had. I can look and see. If you want to go on Discord and bring it up for me, I could show them. Because I don't know where else it would be. It's buried in our conversation. It would take me a while to find it. And I do not. Right now, I'm looking on my other screen. I have two computer screens. This is the one I don't want you guys to see because it has a lot of personal information on it. That's my work screen. This one's my work screen. Yeah, I don't know where the MDL footage is. It's been a while since you sent it to me, I think. Here, this is the best I got. I'm not even sure if I can get over here. This is the footage from the MDL game. That's not a visual novel, clearly. That's why someone asked about a VN, so that's why I was thinking when he was talking about the game video. But yeah, this is what he's been working on recently. This is My Dungeon Life. It's Chalm. Although I think he rebuilt it, like I think because Chalm is not this big, so I think he made a little bit of a difference here. And then that's the Adventure Guild. Which is also a little big. If I don't recall, Chalm, I don't even think it has a second floor. They're not supposed to. But some artistic, license is allowed here. And then you have anyway. And there's just a follower. That would be Lydia if we ever create Lydia as a 3D model. And then there's a. There you go. Yeah. It's pretty cool. I like it. Anyway, what else? I'm trying to bring the screen back up because I lost it. That is not the screen. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, Rise. The entire point of Rise. I'm trying to make it theoretically Rise. This one obviously Bacterium is a Zenzia, but it's filtered through like science, so it's all science terms and stuff. And so I try to have fun with that. Sometimes I forget and I don't use the right terms, and that bothers me. But like I'll just start using some Zenzia terms, and I'll be like, no, I should need to come with science terms. It needs to be sciencey. So sometimes this could probably benefit from a little bit of a rewrite, and plus it has that slow start. But the other one is Rise. Where is Rise? Oh, I guess right here. Um, yeah, you might have noticed Coco. Remember, I signed in at the beginning. It signed me out. So that happened over the course of this video. Um, I've told them about this before that it just randomly signs me out for no reason. And there's some proof of that happening. It just before I was signed in, and then a few minutes later I wasn't. Um, don't know why. The whole point of this novel, anyway, was that the idea was that if he's a straight man to the kind of the wild weirdness of Zenzia worlds, and also that he's kind of the side character in his own story. So it's and a recent chapter we had Zeng Wang end up unlocking his devil bloodline and having his moment of fighting, and that's kind of the whole point is all the other characters are going through their own Zenzia story. So he's gonna have his own complicated story, and then his dad is on the side having his story, and it's actually gonna happen in a chapter or two. So I probably shouldn't say anything because it'd be spoiler. But he's going to run into his dad is it's closer than you think. You probably haven't heard of his dad. Like, what's his dad doing while the mom is no, he's doing stuff. It's just you're gonna run into him soon. I do have the plot worked out for quite some time, so I do have a good 20 or 30 chapters. I know what's going to happen, but it's a slow running story because it doesn't get whatever you're getting once a week. You guys are doing all right now, but there was a long time it didn't get much attention. Um, because it doesn't usually do very well on the surveys. That's why. But I guess it does better for people adding points. So that's good. Anyway, I think that's about it. Have you got anything else? I showed the video. I talked about most of the books, answer questions. Alright, I am probably going to end it here then. Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate all of your support. Anyone who's watching this later, thank you guys as well. Alright. I'm gonna go with end stream. See you guys later. Bye bye.